All right, what's up, everybody? It's Chase Bowers here. We got a great training today. What's up, Mark? How's it going? Go ahead and let me know that you can hear me in the questions box. Let me know if you can see my screen as well. Let's go ahead and do some of the housekeeping stuff. Awesome. See, Mark, Ernest, what's going on, guys? Richard, what's up? Perfect. Is it Rana? Is that correct? Give me a 1 if that's correct, Rana. Is it Rana? Raina, number 2. Rana, cool. Awesome. Janice, Ganti. Perfect. Cool, yeah, so I do have a special guest with me today. So Frank, what's up, man? This is Frank Keeney. Super excited to have you.
Okay, I'm here after moving a couple weeks ago.
So you moved, you were telling me a little bit about it. You moved it was a place that you had previously, and you moved for school reasons, and now you're moving back.
Yeah, we're done with school now. Last child's done with school, so moved back to our home.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, well, congrats on the move. I know it's always nice to kind of go back to that, your home base there.
Yeah.
So, well, today, what we're going to do, Frank has been very kind to be able to join us here today. And we're going to open it up to you guys for your best, hardest questions that you have as far as, like, where are you stuck? And go ahead and be thinking of this right now. And go ahead and, even if you know a question right now, go ahead and type it in the chat box, because I want to get these questions in there, get these questions queued up, because we want to go down and we want to help you solve where you're having trouble. Are you having trouble with setting up Facebook ads? Is there some part of the process that you're getting stuck on? Is it who to target, how to write good ad copy, which products to select? Is it just whatever part of the process it is that you're having trouble on? So go ahead and put those questions in there. And while we're doing that, while you're getting your questions ready, Frank, tell us, for those of us who do not know you or know your background, just give us, like, what's your experience in e-commerce?
Okay. Well, I've been supporting myself and my family for the last 17 years, well, 16 years with e-commerce, since 2001 full-time. And so originally started off in 2001 with eBay, and you kind of, as the time frame I was getting the business started, there was a point where it wasn't really enough income to support me full-time, so I actually went back to doing, like, I would do project consulting for computer security at various corporations. And so I went back and took a 6-month job. It was extremely lucrative, so it was going to give me the opportunity to save enough money to, if things didn't go right with my e-commerce, that I could support my family for the next 4 or 5 months. So, but I had already started the business, but I didn't want to close it down, but I didn't want to scale it. So over the 6 months I worked on this project, at the time I was driving a Chevy Suburban. And should I turn on my camera too, or?
Yeah, come on, yeah.
Let me find it here.
Just thought about that. It'd be cool to kind of see us.
Yeah, let me see my camera here. Let me find it here. If I can find the right one. There it is. All right, so so at the time I was working this temporary 6-month job, I was driving a Chevy Suburban, and so I wanted, and it was a great paying job, but the commute was horrible. It was 2 hours each way, and but I didn't want to stop my e-commerce business, and with a 2-hour commute and 8 hours a day, there's no way I could just do something like that after work. So what I did is I kept inventory in the back of my Chevy Suburban. I kept boxes and my tape gun and my laptop and a label printer. So I'd go out there at lunch and pack my boxes, and then depending on, sometime like on a break or on my way home, I would drop all the boxes off at the UPS store. And that's how I kind of kept my business, kind of going just like that. And then as soon as I was done with that job, I just I had some saving, some extra savings where I could take care of things. I wasn't really worried too much about the money and just about scaling. So I just put everything into it. And I was, that first year, it was, six figures that first year. And I packed boxes myself for much too long. So that's kind of how I got started. I really made, I say there's so many, today I think there's so much great information that gets shared that nobody should have to really pack your own boxes, because what I found is as soon as I stopped, one of my suppliers suggested to me to use a fulfillment warehouse. I moved all my inventory to a fulfillment warehouse, and I tripled my business sales within 18 months.
Yeah.
And this was all, what I sold were large items, but had great profit margins. So that was the beginnings in my garage at home.
Cool. And then what are you doing now? Are you still have your ecom businesses? You're teaching.
So I have 4 Shopify stores, 1 BigCommerce store, and then Amazon FBA.
Okay. Cool. That's great. And you also do a little bit of teaching and coaching?
Yes, I do coaching. I do coaching.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for 2 years. So it's a small group of people, and really seeing some. I'm inspired by the work that others have put in and the success. I'm really proud of many of the people I've worked with.
Cool. And I didn't plan on necessarily asking this question, but from your students and the ones that you see that are successful, like what are some common traits? Because I always think this is important for people to see, like for people that are your students that are successful, like what do you see that's, like what stands out? Like why are they successful?
Well, the one thing that comes out, usually everyone that I start, we as we start, I have this call. It's usually 45 minutes, and we kind of talk about expectations and what they're going to get and what we're going to do and so forth. And every single person that has told me, Frank, I really want to make this work. Just tell me what I should be doing, and I'm just going to do it. And those like almost everyone who told me that has done like stellar work, and has had like miracles in their life. Like being able to leave a job they hated, or just grow their business quite a lot. So that is one thing that has been said on that first call, that it really stands out, and virtually every single person that has said that to me, it really has the attitude that they're there to learn, they're willing to put in the work and sacrifice to actually make a big change in their life.
Okay. No, I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. Just I think a lot of us, and just a lot of people I've talked to when they first come in, like I'll get questions all the time. They almost think there's like a magic button you just press and you're gonna make money.
oh yeah. I've had people that didn't do well, and then they see me posting these screenshots and things of other people, and they get back. So and they could get back to me and say, "Hey, Frank, can you do this for me?" I said, "I can't. You have to do it for yourself."
Yeah.
I said, they've had all the same coaching and information and everything. It's all about what you're willing to do. It's not point and click millions. It's it's usually studying and trying, and anything about marketing and anything else in life. You can be an employee and kind of take things depending on the kind of jobs you're doing. In many cases, you're not really. The challenges are different. You're not really thinking, with marketing, hey, you got to get these things working, or you're not going to be able to pay the mortgage. But when you have to get used to things failing, because it's only out of especially when you're test marketing, it's out of the failures that you learn and also find, and it's somewhere in that process of having failures, then you find winners, and you have to get used to having things not work. And the whole landscape changes also over time. The platform changes, the target audience changes, the competition changes. So it's not, you can't just learn one skill, you know, in 2016 and believe it's going to take you to 2020. It's a constant learning process.
Well, cool. Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this because I think it's something that all of us need to hear just as entrepreneurs. I mean, there is a lot of hard work and perseverance and just having that drive to learn and do whatever it takes. And so.
Well, and I often see a lot of people get stuck on something. Say, for example, I've been talking for the last year or so, I've been talking a lot about video ads. So everybody that is trying to sell, I mean, I just find now that using photos for consumer products. Now, you know, T-shirts and jewelry are kind of in a different area there. But like if I'm selling like a cell phone accessory or something like that, that's where the videos work well. And everyone that wants to do a video ad comes into that now. And I come from the back. Where I come from is, okay, I'm going to shoot my own video. I'm not going to steal somebody else's and jeopardize my Shopify account and my Facebook ad account. I'm going to shoot my own. So everybody comes into needing to do a big change to be successful with a different set of skills in the background. So those that succeed, you know, if you don't know how to edit a video, well, you got to put the time in to learn how to do that. And then if you want to improve your videography skills, it's going to take time. You know, do some video shoots. Then you got to look at them on your computer screen, and you might. And I've done this myself. Photography has been a hobby of mine since I was, you know, a young teenager. But I did a basically cell phone product, and I did this. I spent hours in my daughter's car shooting this whole thing, and I had never done a video that was going to be used in an ad. I'd never done that outdoors before. As soon as I looked at it on my computer screen, and it was like 3 or 4 hours worth of work, there was reflections on everything, and you could hardly see the product. So I had to do it all over again. But you know, when you have a setback like that, you take what you learn. So the next time I did it, I parked her car under a tree and eliminated almost all the reflections. And even then, if I ever do something again inside of a car, I'm going to have a tarp so I can cover a window or something. But you know, little things like that, there's always challenges and setbacks, and sometimes they're big and sometimes little, but it's, you know, what distinguishes the winners from the losers are the ones that, you know, they fail, they learn, and they move on, and the ones that, you know, think they wasted a day and they're never going to do that again, those are the you know, you'll end up, you know, working on somebody else's dream.
That's right. That's right. Cool. That's really good stuff. So, well, let's go ahead and dive in. I see lots of questions here. So, for this first question, this is a good question. It's very, very foundational, I would say. And the question is, how do I select the right product to sell? So, how would you answer that, Frank?
Well, the product is the most important thing. So I'm just going to tell a little story about, I started off my e-commerce journey selling on eBay, which, you know, in 2001, 2000, that was, you know, you were talking about eBay was how people talk about Amazon FBA today. That was the place to make a lot of money. And I started doing very, very, very well on eBay, and I started having regular customers that would buy things from me, and they would say, hey, Frank, you need to open up a store. Well, when I opened up my first e-commerce store, I just manually typed out HTML in VI, if anybody's familiar with that, in Linux, and I created a web page with PayPal buttons and images. And out of that really kind of ugly HTML page, I sold millions of dollars of product. So the product is the most important thing that you can pick. So ugly websites will sell the right product every single day. That if you've got the right product, an ugly website will still work. You can have a beautiful website and have all the wrong products, and you'll probably go broke trying to make it work. So picking the right product. So often I'll ask people when they're not sure what they want to sell, is I ask people, okay, what's your hobby? What are pastimes? What are the kinds of things that you like to do? And then that takes a little bit of understanding of that target. So I always like to understand my target audience. And so if say for example, if you like to go fishing, so if that's something that you're passionate about, and then you probably have a more insight into the kinds of things that people like in that particular niche. I mean, I like fishing, I like camping, I like things that are outdoor related, and so those things work well for me because I feel like I understand the target audience, and so I typically, like for example, I'll just give I tested, and I still sell some of them, but it's it's one of these cell phone power banks that is that has a solar panel on it. So the way I promote it is okay, you can go out and spend all day on your outdoor adventures, and your phone, you keep your cell phone from the battery from dying. So sometimes you can take a product and position it for a different niche. So I was specifically targeting people in a niche. But how to find a product? Well, look back. If you look, when I say look at your hobbies and pastimes, things that you like to do, well then think about, okay, so as part of that hobby or whatever you like to do, are there products that you regularly buy? All right, so is it a niche where people are spending money? So, for example, an example of a niche that spends money. Well, people that go hunting and do things like that, that you need to have money to buy ammo. They might need a new scope or something like that. There's typically a large investment into that particular hobby. And even with fishing, they got to buy a bait and tackle and rods and reels and line and all the different paraphernalia that goes along with it. So this is a niche that in the past I used to run 2 or 3 miles a day. I should be doing it now, but so if I were going to look at the running niche, well, okay, so people buy a new pair of shoes, once a year or something like that, maybe unless you've got something. I'm not trying to discount that niche. I'm just I like to promote products in a niche where there are people actually spending money on product. So, if it was something like, so if I'm picking things on AliExpress, I'm going to go for products and niches where people are actually spending a lot of money. Does that answer the question?
Oh, that's great. I think that's good. Is that James? I see where you asked that question. Is that helpful to you? And then as we wait for his answer, I'll go to the next question. Cool. Yeah, great job on that, Frank. All right, so we do have another question here. This question is, Facebook ad copy, please.
Okay, so I'll use that example of the power bank, and I can't do a full tutorial while I'm here about how I write ad copy. However, okay, so for example, I've got a solar power bank for a cell phone that has a solar panel in it. All right, so I don't sell I'm not selling a power bank. I sell the solution. So what is the solution that the product provides for somebody? Well, this keeps their phone charged all day while they're at Disneyland, or they keeps their cell phone charged all day while they're at the beach, keeps their cell phone charged all day while they're out duck hunting, while they're in the duck blind. I sell the solution, not the product. That's the way I approach consumer products, and then I write my ad copy accordingly. I always do video link posts. So typically I go through an exercise kind of find all the, and it's benefits and solutions, not features. So I'm not selling a 10,000 milliamp power bank. I'm selling a solution to keep their phone charged all day long. So I sell the solution, I sell the benefit, and what I try to do is make it as clear as possible. And so I typically, when in my exercise of writing my ad copy, I'll come up with a list of benefits and solutions and then I'll pick what I believe is my strongest one, and I use that at the top of the description. I'll word it in a certain way, and then in the headline, I always do link post videos. In the headline, I put what I believe is my most compelling benefit or solution. So that's the way I write my ad copy, and then any other benefits and solutions that I have, I'll use those as bullet points inside my ad copy. So I'll have like my first line, kind of like my first benefit or solution, the first line, and then maybe another kind of some wording in there, maybe some other ideas for people of what they can do with the product. Somewhere within that first 4 lines, I'll put my URL, and then down in the headline, I'm going to have that there because I've actually split tested the bold headline. I hope everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you do a video link post, that bold headline underneath that video is extremely important. I've split tested that, and I've seen as much different copy, better copy in that can actually significantly raise your link click-through rate. Yeah, your H here, the URL within the first 4 lines, that's in the description at the top, just to be clear. So I'll take anything. So I'll sell like a, so I always, if the item can't solve a problem, then I typically, for a consumer product, the most compelling thing is to get people to think about how you can solve a problem or provide some sort of compelling benefit for them. And I like products, the kinds of things that people can use on a regular basis typically are strong in the reaction from the target audience. Any other questions about that?
No, that's good. Cool. All right. So, no, yeah, great answer. And Rana, I hope that helps out. And I know she kind of clarifies down below, so we'll get to her clarifying question in a little bit. But let's go with this. So Ganti asks, this is a long one. Okay, let me read it first. Which would prepare. Okay. All right. So Facebook ad sequence, which will prepare the dropship product to take and scale to the highest heights. The starting of the ads and then the path that you would take to start the ad has to be the best so that I can have all the components to scale the ad once working to the highest. So yeah, basically, what's the process of running a Facebook ad, testing it, seeing is it working, and then how to scale it? I know it's kind of a big question. But.
It's a big question. Okay, so I get this all the time. I get people private message me on Facebook and say, hey Frank, this thing won't, I'm trying to do manual bidding, why won't it work? And then I say, okay, share with me a preview link to your ad and I'll give you some feedback. And I'd say, like 9 times out of 10, the ad, what they show me, I'll be really blunt, it's typically a horrible ad. And they're thinking they should be able to scale this. So they'll show me some video they stole from, I don't know, YouTube or some AliExpress vendor that's fuzzy, has big black bars. But the scaling, if you've got the right product, you need to have the right product. You need to have a really terrific ad. You need really great ad copy. You need your site set up to convert. And only once you've set the foundation for success in selling products, can you even think about scaling? Okay, so let's just assume all those things are in there 100%. Okay, so I still test, if I'm testing a product to a niche that I already sell to and I'm fairly comfortable and confident that this product is going to work well, I'll start off at $10 or $20 a day and test it for 3 or 4 days. If it's a niche that I don't really understand and I'm still trying to kind of figure it out, I'll start them off at $5 a day, run it for 3 to 4 days. So early on, you should see certain things that happen to in the metrics. So the things that I start watching early on, the two things that I think are important to watch are, and if these two are in a good place, then most other items will fall in. So I look at the CPM, which is your cost per thousand impressions. So we are all paying for impressions. So the CPM that's the cost for 1,000 impressions. And then I also look at the relevance score. I mean, it's not something, I look at it on a day-to-day basis, but if I've got something that is going to give me, going to work for me long-term or even short-term in scaling, I should have a 9 or a 10 for a relevance score. And my CPM should be low. Now, there's no fixed number for CPM. It's going to depend on what you're selling and the competition in that particular niche. But if you want to do a test to see, you want to do a side-by-side test, so take your product, run it as a photo link post, run it for 4 days, and then run an ad for exactly the same thing, but have a really great video ad and run it for the same time period. You should have a significantly lower CPM with the video. And now, not all videos are the same. It's not just about having, taking your phone out and just having a video of something. It needs to be something, because people have a short attention span, it's got to be really good. But these are the things, all these things that I've talked about are really the foundation of having a product that you can scale. So once you've got the right product, you've got a product that is attractive to a large percentage of your target audience, that is really something that's worth them buying. You've got a really great really excellent video ad, good ad copy, and a landing page, a store that can convert that. Now you've got something in place where you can start scaling. So I typically, because I'm fairly busy with all the things that I do, is I'm usually fairly slow to scale. I usually am not scaling very quickly early on. I end up just doing it later on. But I've seen things where, really need about 3 or 4 days to kind of gauge what's going on. But I do have to say, I will add that if I have a product that, virtually every single product that I'm selling that I've been able to scale usually makes 1 or more sales on the first day. That's typically, in the end, my main metric that I'm looking at is, is ROI. So all the other metrics are just there in my opinion, they're there for diagnostics if something doesn't work. But in the end of the day, it's the ROI. So scaling. So I've scaled with auto bid or manual bid or however. So I'm typically what I have experienced is that Facebook is extremely favorable to aggressive. If you're doing auto bid, they reward aggressive scaling. So I would say I've got something at $20 a day, and it's doing well. I'm happy with the results I'm getting as far as sales. I'll triple the budget or even more. If I'm really feel good about this product, I'll go from $20 to $100 a day, without worrying about it. Now, the thing everyone needs to understand with video, with any sort. Let me take a drink of water before I keep going.
take one too.
Okay. So, okay, this is, my ad started working much better when I started doing this, what I'm about to explain. So I usually, if I make a budget change, if I don't have, if it looks unfavorable on day one, I'll still wait for day 2 and day 3. I'll tip, even if that doesn't work, I'll wait 4 days. So if I went from $20 to $100 a day and it's not quite working, I have found sometimes like after 4 days, it'll just start kicking in. So patience is needed. And then I'll take that, $100 a day, and if it's really cooking, I'll take it to $300 a day, and then just on and on and on. And usually once I'm somewhere around, I'll start testing doing manual bidding somewhere in that time frame where I'm, over $100, and that's another discussion.
Yeah.
But to do manual bidding, absolutely, you've got to have like high relevance scores, low CPM, really, really great ads. You really kind of have to have everything in near perfect alignment for that really to work.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, lots of good info there. Cool. Yeah, we got a bunch of notes here. Cool. Yeah, like what you said about, I think this is important too. Yeah, having all of your foundational pieces in place before you're able to start really dialing your Facebook ads in. I mean, you need to have.
Yeah, it's really difficult to scale something that where the offer, and when I say the offer, is like the whole bundle. It's the ad, the copy, the landing page, the targeting, and everything. If your whole offer is not, the quality is not there, I think really if there's anything that's changed with Facebook in the last year and a half, is that for us as marketers and sellers, that we need to raise our own performance as far as the quality of our offers.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And more expensive items, as long as it's something that people are, you have to have the right product for the right audience.
So yeah, great answer there, and we do have some more questions here, so I'm going to keep going. All right. So, Frank, you mentioned jewelry in passing. I'm trying to do the video ads for jewelry. Can you please, can you ask Frank if video ads work for jewelry, and if so, what kind of videos? Appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Yes. So, okay, if you're going to do jewelry, let me get my screen here in center. So, if for jewelry, you need to have that's going to take some imagination. So what I've seen work real well, now the concept of having movement on the screen in a video ad is really critical, and short clips. Okay, so what I'm going to mention a whole bunch of scenarios that you can show off the jewelry, and you should take each of those and find a couple different places you can place them, and then you want to do quick cuts between those scenes. So imagine you take a necklace. So, dangle if it got charms on it, dangle it in front of the camera. Don't have it move too quickly, but have it hanging there in front of the camera. Go outside, go inside, hold the jewelry in front of, just so you have different scenes. Put it on top of your fence. Put it on top of a brick. Put it on top of, and just go, bam, 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 one thing to the next. Show this thing all over the place. The last thing you want to do is bore people with your ad. If all you do is put your piece of jewelry on a little turntable, it's a little turnstile, and if that's all you do for your ad, people they'll just disappear. They won't watch your ad. Definitely have a scene or two with somebody wearing it or handling it. But make those clips short, make them really tight. So, I mean, I've seen people do unboxing inside their video ads, and they spend, it may be like a 3-second clip, but 2 seconds of it are showing the person's hand in front of it, opening the box, and then you only have a half a second looking at the product. You got to shorten, just show more product and less opening the box. So the product, you need to make the product the star, basically the star of your movie, and show it in a lot of different scenarios. Have somebody, like if it's a necklace, get a girl or a woman to wear it. You don't need to show their faces, so you want people to imagine, if you're selling something to a female audience, you want your target audience to imagine themselves wearing it. But show it off on someone, show it on just laid out on something. Try to have like nice, there's a term in photography that's called depth of field. So you want the background to be if it's a distant background, you want that to be a lot out of focus or partly out of focus, because you want the piece of jewelry to be the center of attention. So don't let other things in the background take that center of attention. So if you don't know what depth of field is, go on Google and look it up. If you've got some photography or videography skills already, you'll have a little head start here. But I've made millions of dollars in sales of products that I just did on my coffee table. But you need to have good lighting, and what I found that works if you need to add some lighting. I've been doing photography since I was about 12 or 13, but most of what I do is landscape photography. But when I've shot things indoors that are product related, I just get a desk lamp with an incandescent bulb, because it's a warmer light. So you don't, depending on the LED, it may be the wrong color, but you can adjust it depending on your editor. But I find just a nice, they're getting harder to find, but an incandescent bulb shines a really nice color that doesn't take usually any adjustment. Definitely you don't want fluorescent and some of the others. And then with the incandescent, you also don't. In some cases, you may get a little bit of a flicker. You won't get that with an incandescent bulb. And a lot of the videos I've done where it's a product on a table and it's indoors where I need more light, I just bring over a floor lamp or a desk lamp that has an incandescent bulb in it. And I've never been a fan of light boxes. Now, if you've got that may be the expectation. If you've got a piece of expensive fine jewelry, is to show it in that way. But even when I was selling my first store, I sold electronic components and other gear, and I would have small parts. I would just take a whiteboard and put the product on the whiteboard, and I would go outside in the shade and take the photo. I have always liked to have some shadows, so in the video or the photo, I can see the shape of the item, so I get an idea of the details of the item. But I think this whole thing about you got to use some imagination. So I've given this advice that I just told you to lots of people, and I'll tell you, the people that go and use their imagination and go the extra mile and actually show their product in many different varied scenes, their ad performs so much better than someone who just thinks that they're going to get this all done in 15 minutes. And that, I think, when I talk about quality of the ad, that's the difference between something that you can scale in many cases to something that is just flops and you have to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And often it's the video that will make the difference.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, you can almost put yourself in a situation if you see a video and you can tell somebody just threw it together and it's some terrible photos that they found on AliExpress and they just have them moving and.
Right, and the slide, and this question's always asked. Well, what about taking images of it and making a slideshow? From what I find, in many cases, I found those to be worse than just doing photos, because they're usually not done very well. Any sort of slideshow is if it's any improvement over a photo, it's very small. But what I've typically, when I talked about CPM earlier. In the niche that I work in, typically my photo link posts, my CPM will be like $13 or so. But if I do the video correctly, it'll drop down below $4.
Nice.
So the extra time that you put in to make the quality of the video, some imagination, some time to do it the right way, pays off big dividends, because where I used to have like photo link posts that would, I'd be able to sell a product for, 3 or 4 weeks. I've got video ads that I've been running over a year now, making money every day.
That's nice. You put in the work up front, do a really good job, and you're able to reap the benefits long term.
Exactly.
That's cool. All right. Yeah. Great answer. I hope you guys are, well, I'm taking notes. I was going to say, I hope you're taking notes. I'm taking notes for you, so you're good there. But I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is some really good stuff. I'm gonna have to open a new column here. It's getting really long. Let's do it. All right.
Any other? I'm sure there's some more questions.
Oh yeah, we got some more. Get set up here. All right. Let's see what we have. All right. This is kind of going back. This is probably maybe just a quick touch-up question. Somebody asked, what about ad copy specifically for like T-shirts? I don't know if you have any suggestions specifically for T-shirts.
Well, I don't sell a lot of T-shirts, but what I find with T-shirts is it's different than selling a consumer product. Like if I'm selling the power bank, so I really have to kind of sell the power bank. The design and the phrase that are on your T-shirt should be like, should be enough to take care of your sales. And then some ad copy if you want to keep it short and sweet. And if you've got free shipping or some other compelling reason for them, genuinely compelling reason. But it's fairly, the ad copy should, is probably just needs to be fairly simple, because it's clear that it's a T-shirt. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's your design. The design needs to work with the audience. The phrase needs to resonate with your audience. Really, it's the image. The image that you have should sell the product itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's see. I have been overseas for a while. I noticed that ePacket on AliExpress is decreasing. Is that correct? And I'm not sure what he means by it. You mean, let me see who this is. Mark, do you mean that the amount of items that have ePacket are decreasing, or are you seeing prices decreasing? You can kind of follow up on that. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what the question is. So.
Okay. All right, we talked about a little, I say Janice asked, do you use a recorded video or a video created on Facebook with images? I think you talked about that you do custom videos.
Yeah, I shoot the video. Just use the camera in your cell phone is more than enough to make a really great ad. I mean, these are very, very good video cameras. Remember, the majority of your ads are going to show up on a small screen. Most people are buying from mobile, and I mean, all but one of my video ads has been shot with this phone. The only video ad I didn't use my phone is when I needed to use my phone as a prop, and when I shot that one, I just used a Logitech USB webcam.
Wow, that's cool. That's really cool.
Definitely get a tripod. You want to stable. You don't want it handheld. Unless you're walking around with something, you want to stabilize this. So get a tripod and a holder for your phone, and you can get those on Best Buy. And that way, it's held in one place. The last thing you want is to jiggle around. I mean, there's some cases where when I was in the car doing a video of a product, there were certain actions that were taking place that I wanted to shorten, and if I'd handheld it, I never would have been able to shorten those actions. By having this video stable, I was able to cut out, a couple half-second spots in some critical places.
This might be overkill for some people, but this is like a. Let's see if I can show it here.
Yeah.
It's behind it. It's one of those from DJI. They're the people that make all the drones, but it's like a stabilizer. You turn it on.
Okay.
Whoop. It goes like that. So it's like a gimbal. It keeps everything really smooth. Then you can also put it on a tripod as well as a spot to put it on a tripod. But yeah, that's something you can do. This is not necessarily for shooting product videos. It's not necessarily what I use it for, but you could do something like that, or just what Frank was suggesting there. There's tons of different types of stabilizers that you can do, expensive or less expensive. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Just as long as it's stationary and is not moving around.
Yeah. All right. All right. So this is a follow-up question. Yeah, let me go ahead. I did want to put a little note there. I'm going to read this follow-up question though. So we have first, Frank, thank you for your great answer. Just a follow-up, what is the sequence of ads that you, Frank, follow? Example, PPE ad to website view content, website add to cart, website purchase, duplicating ad sets, LAA, and things like that. Thank you.
Well, I almost never run PPE or video views. It's virtually everything I run is website conversion with a purchase objective. And now lookalikes is not a campaign objective, so that's just an audience. And then when when purchases start happening, I'll create a custom audience of the people that have purchased the specific product that I want to promote, and I'll build a custom audience of the buyers of a specific product. I take the product ID and build a specific audience. I'll build a lookalike audience from that, and then that's typically that lookalike audience is my best. What the combination I found, at least with the niches that I work in, everyone seems to have a little bit of different results with this. They'll typically build a 3% audience, and so which ends up to be somewhere over 6 million, and then I'll take one, maybe two, very broad interests that in Facebook, and put them in that ad set. So it typically drops the audience down to about 2.2 million, 2.5 million, and that lookalike along with the broad interest, those have been some of my best performing audiences, and usually they have the lowest cost per purchase.
Nice.
So yeah, typically never do PPE. I've just never found much of anything from that. It may be. I mean, I'm not a big T-shirt person. I do sell some, but I know of some that have used that for scaling. But I find that once I've got a really great product, that website conversion with purchase objective scales very, very well.
Awesome. Yeah, great answer. And I think you've already answered this, but so he's saying website conversion has three different options: view content, add to cart, and purchase. Some people are skipping the website view content. Your opinion on that, please?
I just start with purchase.
Okay.
I've tested doing add to cart or add to cart or purchase, and they typically, when I just did it recently for a product that's working well, started off with add to cart, and I think it would have just done the same thing with purchase. So I think what I want to emphasize is that the pixel is important, but what will make these things work properly is by having a great product, a really great ad, and a site that will convert. Having a really great product, you'll still be able to sell if you did website clicks. So the pixel is something you want to leverage, but it's not. The pixel is not going to make your sales. It's only going to improve something that's already good.
That's a good
not the other way around.
Yeah, no, that's really, really great. You can really get into all of these, like what should I start with, but if you have the foundational things like Frank's talking about, the great product, the great site, the great ad copy, basically either way you're just showing your ad to your targeted audience, and if they resonate with that product and that ad copy, then they're going to purchase. And like he's saying, the optimization of the pixel is a bonus.
Exactly. Yes. In order to leverage the pixel, you need to lay a good foundation for it to be able to do that. The pixel is only as good as your offer.
Yep. That's good. That's really good. All right, so let's see. All right, so we do have a question here from Jamie. Frank, are you doing dynamic product ads? If so, what kind of return on ad spend are you getting?
At the moment, I've turned them all off. I just retarget. I typically just retarget with the original ad for 5 days, and that is working the best way. I retarget both the people that retarget the people that that view content or add to cart and didn't buy, and then also create a engagement audience of people that have viewed. You typically test both the 75% viewers and the 95% viewers. That I put into another ad set, and that becomes another retargeting ad set for people that viewed but never clicked.
Nice. All right. Really good questions here coming in. Okay. All right, Frank, do you do print on demand, more particularly pillow profits? If so, what are your thoughts on shoes and boots?
I don't, at this moment I'm not running any print on demand. It's been more than 3 months since I've done print on demand.
Okay.
But with anything, I think you have to, no matter what you're selling, it needs to be something that resonates with your target audience. Especially with something they're going to wear, something like shoes. If you've got something that's I think selling, and it's working well, I think something like that, where with shoes and some of these others, you might consider getting the product yourself and then doing a video about it and testing that. I mean, other than T-shirts, I think some of these other products, I think there's a lot of promise with showing them off in a live video.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, some good feedback from Ganti saying he's a photographer as well. All right. Frank, somebody's asking, do you have a website or a blog where they can get more info from you?
Yeah, it's just frankkeeney.com. I unfortunately I don't think I've posted any new blog posts for over a year, but there it is.
Cool. All right, I'll post it.
Yeah, frankkeeney.com.
All right. Somebody asked if they needed a link to support, please, I believe. So maybe you could send that to them. I think this, and the Slack group is good as well if you need support. All right. So Robert says, I have available to me locally a source of silk ties that I can own for $1 or $2, and I'm trying to think how I can merchandise them. The challenge is the amount of variety, colors/design, suggestions on how I might build a niche and market them, approximately inventory 300 plus. So
okay. So, I mean, when it comes, these ties have something like, if there's a motorcycle on them, you could target people like motorcycles. Are they just beautiful ties, or do they actually relate to some form of a niche? So, depending on what that is going to, you're going to be marketing it differently. So if you just have a fashion item, then I typically, with something like that, then I would go do my research. Okay, so you need to know who your target audience is. How old are they? What magazines do they subscribe to? What stores do they go to buy their clothes? So you research all those in Audience Insights, and then you need to do a whole, some testing of what is going to work, and so to see which audiences react the best to your particular ad. It's going to be much easier to sell something that's related to a niche versus just having, are all these ties, are they all the same thing, or are they 25 different types? Or I think some of that is going to, you're going to have to come up with a good offer for them and understand. I wear a tie when I go to church, but that's the only time, and so there's no other time that I wear a tie. So my wife and my daughter, they buy me a tie on Father's Day, but so you need to understand your target audience. So as a marketer, if you're going to just test something that's not a niche related, then you're going to focus on where your target audience shops to find interests that they might be interested in. And often I'll find I've worked with some people that sell fashion-related items, and some of those fashion-related magazines can also work too. Like GQ is one that comes to my mind, and I know there's others. So you want, you got to find out where the interests of your target audience, where they reside in the Facebook environment.
Cool. All right, let's just take a few more questions here because I don't want to not waste, but I don't want to take up all of Frank's time. This is definitely, I think he enjoys doing this. I know, and we're very grateful for him for doing this. So let's just take a few more questions. All right, so there is a question that says, what is a 3% audience? I think that's a good foundational question that we should talk about. Frank, kind of explain that whole concept of the 3% audience.
So, for example, let's just take the scenario where to build a lookalike, you need to have a custom audience to start off with. So, let's just say that power bank example that I brought up. I've sold, 50 power banks, and now I want another audience that I can sell to. So basically, what the lookalike audience gives us, it's like having your own interest that nobody else has. So what I'll do is I'll go into Facebook audiences inside of the Business Manager, and I'll first create the custom audience of all the people for the last, I think the 180 days is the max. Basically I want a big audience. I'm going to have all the people that have bought the product already. And at the minimum, can't even remember what the minimum is. I think it has to be 200, 300 or something. Anyway, I'll start building the custom audience, and when it's big enough, I can build a lookalike. So what the lookalike does is I've got this custom audience of 500 people that have bought this power bank. So now when I tell Facebook, hey, build a 3% lookalike, it's going to look at my audience and try to find more people like those that have already purchased. And so that's going to be a mix of buyer behaviors, interests, and a few other things, ages and so forth. So we're going to get this new audience. So now from 500, I've got like 6 million people in this audience that those people are like my. It's a look-alike. It's exactly how it says. They have a similar behavior, and in a lot of cases, a lot of them have the same or similar interests. So now we've got the 6 million audience, and my preference is, what I found works well, is to take a broad interest. So when I set up the ad set, so the first thing is I set up a new. I tell Facebook I want a new ad. I open up a new ad set. I put in my lookalike audience, which is like 6 million something, and then that goes right up in the top inside of the ad set. And then down below, there's where you put in the interests. I take a broad term. So like if I was selling a power bank to people that go they like to do boar hunting, duck hunting, deer hunting, whatever kind of hunting, and so now what I'm going to do is, instead of taking like really narrow interests, I'm going to take a broad interest. I might just take the word hunting, people that like to hunt, and put that in there. It's usually big. It might be like 10 or 10 million people or something like that, and I'm going to put that in there. What it's going to do is it's going to narrow that lookalike audience down to people that are look like the people that have already purchased and are also within the same niche where I sold the product originally. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that's great. All right, so let's keep going here. Let's see. All right. Frank, what fulfillment service are you using to ship your products? Are you doing some drop shipping as well? Sorry, I missed that if you already covered.
Oh, sure. Well, I use a fulfillment warehouse in not very far from me here in Southern California. I'm not going to give out the name of the place. I sold the amount of volume I have, especially for FBA, is so large that this warehouse can handle a large amount of movement of product. So what I typically do, okay, I'll talk about fulfillment houses first. So when I first moved my inventory to a fulfillment house in the early 2000s, I moved my inventory to kind of a smaller fulfillment location. Well, within that 18 months, I actually outgrew three fulfillment centers, because there are different size fulfillment centers for different size of businesses and different business models. So I typically recommend that, and I found it very beneficial to me for my first fulfillment center, and even the others that I've used for my large volume items, is to have something that was somewhat near where I am. So if you just Google, go into Google and search for fulfillment center, you're going to find lots of them. And typically, if you're in a metropolitan area, you're likely to find lots of them. And this is another thing that you're not going to just spend 15 minutes of research. You may spend a whole week finding a good place, because they all charge different types of fees. They all have different services. Some of them may be too big, some will be too small, and so you want to get an idea. So the first thing, you don't want to just email people for something like this. You want to get on the phone and talk to people. So you call them up and talk to someone that can answer your question. So you want to ask, they're going to ask you a little bit about your business, and you're going to tell them, you might have, these kinds of widgets, they're this size. They're going to say, they're going to ask you questions like, are they already barcoded? Because any sizable, anything that's not a mom and pop shop is going to use barcodes. And you need to find out how much, because some places will charge you by the rack space you use, some charge by the pick and pack. So like, say for example, someone orders one widget, and so they take the widget out of the box and put it in a bubble envelope or a small box. They may charge you 25 cents just to take that one thing out of the box, and 15 cents for the next item, for every subsequent item out of the same box. So you need to understand the fees. Now, there are many these days that just do a flat rate. Okay? There's also other fees. There may be data storage fees. I got hit with that with one place. I kept seeing this, over a period of like a couple of years, this one line item kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I called them one day and said, hey, what's this? He said, well, that's your data storage. Those are your customers. I said, well, I don't need that. and so it saved me hundreds of dollars a month just telling him he's got to not store it anymore. So those need to understand every single fee. Some places charge for receiving fees, some don't. The products that I sell through, you have to imagine, there's lots of people out there selling things that are just not one little item from if I can, this is like a wireless phone charger. They're not everybody just selling one little thing. I sell products where for one SKU, there's like 5 subparts that they have to do a little bit of assembly before they actually pack it and ship it. So just be aware of all the fees, and and you probably, if you're fairly new at this, you're only selling a few hundred things a month. You're probably going to be using a smaller fulfillment house. A lot of them have popped up to serve this boom in people that are doing Shopify. So then you also want to make sure that you can automate everything. So from Shopify, they should have some understanding, or they should be able to either integrate very easily to Shopify, or provide some instructions, or recommend an app that will integrate with theirs. So you should not need custom coding most of the time. Many of them will charge you a fee also to set up, maybe a setup fee. It's all, your negotiation skills will come into play here. So fulfillment warehouses, just make sure you understand everything you're going to pay for and what you need for your product to be prepped. It's really important when you're new to this, if you've got a product you're starting to import, you definitely want to move into your product to a warehouse, because you can very easily, it's easy when you have a product that's selling well to get to the point where you don't have enough time in the day to pack the sales that are coming in. That's easy to do. So, and you'll end up wasting your time, because as a business owner, you should be working on growing your business and not, packing boxes. Okay, so my methodology typically, I'm going to step away from the fulfillment house scenario right now. So my typical process is when I pick products, and I'll use AliExpress as a testing platform. So once I have a proven winner, maybe I'll sell 800 or 900 or 1,000 of an item, and then I think, okay, clearly this item is going to work. I'm going to start importing some of this stuff. And so what I'm looking for is, I'll just give you a scenario here. So I had a product I was selling for $32.95, and my cost, with the e-packet was like $17. So, and that was with drop shipping. So now this is definitely something this is, in this conversation is where you're really going to find out why you should not be selling $9.95 products, because there's no way that you'll ever be able to be profitable by importing in those unless you're buying them for a couple pennies a piece. So I started off with a product, $17 on ePacket, but I knew that once I could, I looked on Alibaba, I actually went and got bids on the product, and I found that when I started bringing it in, this product in bulk, that my landed cost would end up being about $10 a piece, and with that gives that more than enough. There's going to leave me extra profit. My customers are going to get the product sooner, and it basically pays for any fees at the fulfillment center. So if you're selling $9.95 products, your cost might be $2. If you try to import that product, by the time you cover ad costs, fulfillment costs, envelopes, or whatever any of these shipping here and there, you end up maybe breaking even, maybe losing money. But typically I use AliExpress as a testing platform, and then scale further with and then I start direct importing.
Awesome. All right. Great answer. Good question as well. Last question. We're going to wrap it up with this. AliExpress seems to offer mostly low-cost products. I need products in the $100 range with higher margins. Do you have any thoughts on that?
There's plenty of things that are more expensive. Well, you might also start looking around for products in the U.S. too that you can sell. So there's other things in the U.S. too. But there's plenty of more expensive things on AliExpress. It just depends on how you're going to look for it. So I don't know if I'm going to just throw this out here, but if you're, you should friend me on Facebook, because I actually did a video about how to find unique products on AliExpress using Facebook ads. I did a little tutorial. It's in my timeline on Facebook. Yeah, it's not on my website. I just have not updated my blog. Yeah, okay, somebody says they watch it. Actually, I'm actually going to, that domain will stay, but Google decided that they weren't going to let me do any more AdWords from that domain, so I'm now setting up a new place. So I don't have that, I'm not going to say what domain that is just yet, but because I do Google as well. So yeah, and I like YouTube in-stream ads, especially for remarketing.
That's great. Awesome. Well, cool. Yeah, thanks, Frank. And how many of you are coming to the Zero to Scale event? How many of you even know about that? If you don't know about it, just let me know. No, I don't know about it. But how many of you are coming to the Zero to Scale event? So Mark is. Awesome. Yeah, I've been talking with you, Mark. James, you're trying. I did send out an email today, so yes, a lot of you have probably seen that. Well, Frank is actually going to be there at the event as one of our speakers and trainers. So we're super excited to have him there. And yeah, so I see some of you are looking at the logistics, and some of you are saying you wish you could. Yeah, a lot of you are saying that. So cool. Well, yeah, if you can make it out, definitely come. Frank's going to be there. We've got several others that are going to be there as well. It should be a great event to network. You can come up and shake Frank's hand. He seems like a friendly guy. Look, he's not. So it'll be good. You can network with all of us. We'd love to meet you.
Yeah, let me post my URL to my profile in Facebook, and then.
Cool, and I can put it up on this
it's
here as well.
I don't know if I can. Oh, here we go. I can't find my profile. Here we go. There it is.
All right. Post that in the chat as well, Frank.
Oh,
okay. I think okay. Chat. That should post it to everybody.
Okay.
And then I'll get it from. Okay, there it is. Cool. And I'll add it to our doc right here. Cool. And everybody should have the link to this Milanote. I'll go ahead and post it again in case you arrived a little bit later. And you should be able to link to this to keep a copy of it. So, will the notes be saved in our Milanote account? Do not see how to save it. Yeah, I think you can save it to your Milanote account somehow. Reach out to the Milanote support staff. I'm not exactly sure how to do that since I have it's in my account. It's hard to simulate. But thanks so much, guys. Great questions, by the way. And Frank, you did a great job of just being really detailed, providing all of your experience and insights. So that is super helpful. And hopefully all of you guys got a lot out of it. Definitely, if you would, just chime in. Let us know what you thought. Richard says, thank you, Frank. So I know Yeah, there was tons and tons of great insight. Look at all these notes. I mean, one of these columns was getting like crazy long. Some of you are going to take this and like make an ebook out of it and start getting into the ecom training niche.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah, James says great stuff. Thank you. Melvin, thank you, Frank. Awesome. ESC
Great.
member. Way cool. Can't wait to listen to the parts that I missed. Thank you so much.
Great. You're welcome.
Perfect. Cool. Well, Frank, I'll let you get back to your family and your old new home, and enjoy your evening.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank. Great clarification. Lots of details that are often glossed over. All right. Thanks so much, Frank. We'll see you at the event. If any of you want to come to the event, definitely reach out to me. You can just reach out to me at chase@dropify.com is fine, or any of the ways. You can reach out to me in the Slack group, and we are doing the application process. You can actually fill out the application to come to the event to win a scholarship for actually 2 free tickets. So you can do that and get to go see Frank and I would love to meet you as well. So
yeah.
all right, thanks so much, Frank.
All right. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys.
See you later.